college football playoffs released their final poll. Obviously, we got the 12 teams set up. Bama did not make it. SMU did. Your reaction to, first of all, how they set up the ranking. Like, did you agree with how they ranked? Obviously we knew Georgia was going to be 2, Oregon's going to be 1. I think some of the ones that were in flux, Tennessee, where they landed, where would Clemson and SMU land, Notre Dame. They did say that if you did not play, you could not leapfrog a team that also did not play that might have been above or beneath you. So your reaction to how they ranked the final poll to set up the playoff.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just, with those like rules that they said, like, a team that didn't play could not jump, or, like I didn't know that was the case all year. I felt like it was just like they decided that the last week or two, So had I known that was the case all year, then I'd have been like, all right, it is what it is. But once they said that, I thought to myself, like, that doesn't really make too much sense to me, because for one, when Oregon put hands on Penn State, now Penn State fought back, and made it. But I thought to myself, like, okay, well, Ohio State's only really big win, right, is Penn State. And so here I am watching Oregon kind of put hands on them, and thinking to myself, like, okay, now Ohio State has a loss to Michigan, and their quality win is against a team that, is obviously not as good, so I'm thinking, Tennessee maybe have a chance of jumping Ohio State or Penn State. When they said the rule, that Penn State couldn't fall back, I knew they weren't just going to flip-flop Tennessee and Ohio State solely off Penn State getting smoked like that, So I expected it to be what it was after they said that. But I personally thought, and another reason why I didn't understand why Alabama was even close to, like, I didn't think Alabama should have been ahead of South Carolina, or was it SM? Who were they ahead of going into the week?
They were ahead of South Carolina. They were ahead of, technically they were ahead of, I believe, SMU and Clemson.
Okay, yeah.
They were ahead of Ole Miss.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think Alabama should, because whether you like to believe it or not, I've always thought this. It's better to lose early. It's better to lose a game early in the season, because if you lose the game right before the college football playoff to an unranked team that's terrible by 3 touchdowns, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. We're not comparing your loss against our Arkansas loss. I'm comparing what you're supposed to be looking like going into the college football playoff, which is why I thought South Carolina, was looking like a team that deserved to be there. SMU was looking like a team that deserved to be there, And so that's another reason why I thought Ohio State at home losing to a team like Michigan and just not playing well, not looking very good at all, whereas and the same I would have felt about Georgia had they lost to Georgia Tech. You just gotta look the part, you know what I mean? So I didn't understand why Alabama was even had a chance, after losing that game to Oklahoma like that. But I mean, for the most part, looking at it, I'm not too upset with what it looks like. I know I've watched all of these things where it's like, man, we just need to see them straight up, forget the conference championship, forget this, forget that, and all of that stuff. There'll probably be adjustments made, because, like I said, Tennessee's not about to win a national championship. I don't foresee this Tennessee football team beating Ohio State, Oregon, then Texas or Georgia, and then a Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Tennessee is necessarily built for that. And I feel bad for Oregon. But here's the thing. I think what we're doing, and not to get too long-winded, I'll throw it back to you. In football, in NFL football, right, the playoffs is reseeding.
Mm-hmm.
In college basketball, it's not, though. You know what I mean? So in college basketball, if a 15, or whatever, upsets or whatever, then a 1 seed might have to play an 8 seed, whereas a 2 seed might be playing a 15 seed. You know what I mean? And you can't be mad at it, because it's kind of how it's locked, and that's college. So I don't know what you're trying to do with the football, if you're trying to, mimic it towards NFL playoff, or if you want to keep it and say, no, in college basketball, we do it this way,
Yeah, shout out to Matthew Lee. He said Texas played no one this year that was worth their position.
I ain't gonna lie, he's right. He's right. Their biggest wins are Vanderbilt and now I'm
Michigan.
gonna give Michigan.
And Texas A&M. Texas
The
A&M.
A&M, they're 8-4. They finished outside the top 25. They were in the top 25, at
When
the
they
time.
played them.
And so I'm gonna say that's a good win. I think they went to A&M as well. I think it was
Correct.
Kyle Field night game. So I'm gonna call that one a good win. But the problem with that was us valuing the Michigan win so much that we just kept Texas up here in the top 5 all year long. And we never looked at it and said, okay, that win's actually not very good anymore. They're 2-4. You know what I mean? And said, maybe you're not that good. And yeah, they didn't look good against Vanderbilt even in that win. But yeah, he's right though. They didn't play. And I know the SEC schedules came out. We're playing the same teams next year. Whether it's home and home or whatever. So Florida's going to have what probably is going to be one of the harder SEC schedules next year. Bama's going to have a tough SEC schedule next year. Texas is going to have a softer SEC schedule, and so is Tennessee. I would say as soft as Texas because no matter what, we play Georgia, Alabama, Florida. And I think Florida is going to be a much better team next year with DJ Lagway. So yeah, but yeah, I think Matt's right in that. I think Texas is one of those teams where we talked about this before. I don't like them doing 6 weeks of these rankings. I think you need to actually look at the rankings maybe the week before the conference championships and then reveal it to us, because 6 weeks before you're not dropping these guys because they're it's just a weird situation. So yeah, I think that if they would have put them together maybe 2 weeks before, then you would have saw Indiana in a different spot. You'd have saw Texas in a little bit different spot. Some of that stuff.
So I disagree with this comment. Mullerhead Sports, Indiana shouldn't be in it. They won their games, man. People have said, what's the criteria? The criteria is win. Mm-hmm. You win your games. If you're part of, especially if you're a Big Ten or SEC team, you win your games, you're in. I mean, really, that applies to the Big 12, right? Kansas took down 3 ranked teams back to back to back who all had a shot to play for the Big 12 championship that would have gotten them into the playoffs. If those teams, if I'm going to pick on Colorado beats KU, they play for the Big 12 championship. Maybe they beat Arizona State, and maybe Deion, who I think promised he would be in the playoff at the end of his last season, he comes true on his word. So no, Indiana played the schedule that was in front of them. I'm not here for this hypothetical. Well, if they played in the SEC, we're not here to do that. You play the schedule that's in front of you. You win your games. You get in. Can you be skeptical of them? Sure. People are skeptical of Notre Dame. They have the worst loss of the year, right? They lost to Northern Illinois. People want to be skeptical of Notre Dame? Cool. But guess what? They get an opportunity to prove if they beat Indiana, they get to play Georgia. They beat Georgia. They keep going.
And I think that those one-loss teams
So this comment says, I would like to see some better SEC brackets and maybe even out of SEC versus other top-tier college teams to see how the whole country plays if you play a top team from the conference. Before I'm going to let you go, let's address something real quick. One thing that this 12-team playoff has shown that a lot of these people out here, especially you SEC fans, you're soft. You're a bunch of babies. You're a bunch of whiners. Shout out. That goes for, I keep wanting to call him Mike's Live. That goes for Greg Sankey, who sat up on ESPN the day of the conference championship games with his propaganda. After that, that goes to Greg Byrne, the AD of Bama, Dan Radakovich, the AD of Miami. Lane Kiffin, how could I forget? You crashed out on social media for days on end like a jilted lover, like your girl just left you, and you out here tweeting like you can get her back by sending enough tweets. Win your games. That's all that matters, guys. When you start talking about conference schedules and what conference is the toughest and you wouldn't last if you played here, you sound like a loser. Because guess what? You lost.
And I agree because it's like you're losing. You're not losing a bunch of ranked opponents. These are teams that you lost to Kentucky at home, Lane Kiffin. Alabama, you lost to Oklahoma by 3 touchdowns.
Touchdowns.
And so the reason why I'm not mad at Indiana is because Indiana lost the one game they played that was anybody thinks is worth anything. But there's also a talent in not losing the games you're not supposed to lose, right? And Tennessee can't even say that we did that. Coming off a bye week, going to Arkansas, we slipped up, and you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say Arkansas could beat Indiana. I don't know that for sure. But what I'm saying is Indiana showed that the teams they're supposed to beat, they beat. So when you have one loss like Notre Dame or Indiana, I'm more privy to be like, listen, they won the games that were in front of them. You know what I mean? Now, you got another loss or you lost, and then now I'm gonna start looking at your schedule. You know what I mean? Because there's only one undefeated team. You know, there's a lot of those 2-loss teams, a lot of those 2 and 3 loss teams, and that's whenever it got kind of muddy, and you're like, where are we gonna,
Yeah, and Oregon, look, Oregon had a dogfight with Wisconsin at Wisconsin, right? So I mean, like every team this year faced some type of adversity where they could have lost their game. And like I said, it's simple. You win your games. We don't have to worry about your strength of schedule if you win your games. Army, if Army had beat Notre Dame, let's just say Boise State slipped, Army would have been the group of 5 representative in the college football playoff. They would have been undefeated. They would have had a signature win over.
Notre Dame probably would have been out.
Oh, they were done. They were done. They
couldn't. Been done.
The Northern Illinois loss, I think I saw Andy Staples, or maybe it was Ari Wasserman said should have counted for 2 losses. Like it was, so they were done. And you would not have seen me on this program, on social media, or in any of my group chats with the homies saying Notre Dame deserved inclusion. No, they lost. You win, you're in. Now, do they need to tweak it? Yes, they need to tweak it to where the top 2 seeds get the bye and not the top 4 ranked teams get a bye and not the top 4 conference champions. That's more like the NFL model, right?
Yeah,
which is what they've gone to. They need to tweak it in that way, and they should make that tweak for next year. They're going to go to 14 teams. There's going to be automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, which I think is super whack. And to me, all that crying from the SEC, to me, it's about insecurity. Because if you have, let's just say Bama doesn't make it again next year, now this narrative starts that maybe the SEC isn't the conference we think it is. And that's where all this automatic qualifier stuff comes in. That's where all this whining about strength of schedule is coming in. It's about insecurity.
Well, the further out you make the bracket, the more I think you're going to see different conferences winning national championships. Like I just mentioned, like a team that doesn't make a bye has to win 4 games against top 12 teams in the nation in a row. Like there's a reason in college basketball why, like, I mean, shout out to UConn coming off back-to-back, but it's a reason why a perennial powerhouse like Kansas Jayhawks have won like 2 national championships in the last, 30 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not easy when you get in there and styles make fights, boom, and you got to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to win 4 of them joints in a row. You know what I mean? So you're going to, that it's going to make it a lot harder for teams like, and I think you saw even with the 14 playoff or whatever, but, with Michigan winning last year and stuff like that, back before, Georgia, for Alabama, boom, Florida, back-to-back, LSU, but now it's going to, now like, you better get through that gauntlet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's do at least the first round, right? Let's just make our predictions for the first round. Let me say this. It would not surprise me that at the end that we get Texas, Georgia, part 3, just because their defenses, to me, are the best 2 defenses in this entire thing. Their offenses leave a lot to be desired, but you can make that case for just about every team in here. Granted, SMU had a decent offense. Penn State played the game of its life offensively. I haven't seen that type of offense from them, and maybe since Saquon was there, maybe.
I think Dan Lanning just wanted to keep him in. I think Dan Lanning just wanted to keep him in. He's like, if I beat them 38-3, then they're letting Bama in, and Penn State's falling all the way out.
Man, but I think all 12 teams, to me, should have optimism that they can win this entire thing, because I don't think there's a great team, right? So I will say I was against this 12-team playoff. I will say I was wrong about that. I will say I think I was right. People said, well, more games will matter. And my thing is that all the games matter, whether or not they're playing for some high stakes or not. We went to go watch KU and Colorado play. I had on my Notre Dame gear. You had on your Tennessee gear. People are looking at us going, what are you guys doing here? Right?
They wanted to know if we were like transfer portal guys. If we were like looking to see if
if we were on our Connor Stallions.
We should have brought clipboards.
No, we were on our Connor Stallions here to do some spying for these schools. but we enjoy college sports. And so we don't need a reason to go watch KU in Colorado. They're playing at Arrowhead. That's reason enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so all these games matter. And so to me, that's where I think I was vindicated. But let's get into these matchups. So I'm just going to start from the top of the bracket and work my way around. So we're going to start with Rocky Top. Last thing. So apparently the college football playoff, I guess, oversees music. So when Tennessee, I believe I'm reading this correctly, when they make their entrance into, I think it's the Horseshoe, when they make their entrance into the stadium, I think Rocky Top is going to be played over the loudspeakers.
As it should.
By the way,
Actually, it should probably be played over the loudspeaker at all of the games, regardless if Tennessee is making their entrance or not. So I think that should be a rule from now on.
All right. So who you got? Obviously, I mean, this is a stupid question. Never mind. I'll answer. I got Tennessee. I think Ohio State has a lot of pressure on them. I read a mailbag from Stuart Mandel, and they asked the question of, do you think it would have been better for Ohio State to be on the road at Tennessee instead of playing at home because of all the pressure that's on that team, given how they played just a couple of weeks ago against Michigan? I got Tennessee. I do think the pressure is going to get to them. I think you saw Ryan Day with the deer in the headlights look once all the stuff that unfolded with the flag planting and stuff after the game. And to me, if things don't go right, I think you're going to get that same deer in the headlights look, and that is going to be the end of the Ryan Day era at Ohio State.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe of the 12 teams, there is only one team with a freshman quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, Gunnar Stockton is redshirt freshman, so he'd be in the same boat as Nico.
Who's he play for?
Georgia.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, my bad. Do we know if Beck is out though?
I think he's done, bro. I don't think he's coming back. I mean, Bruh came out on the field for that handoff with his arm literally just hanging. He wasn't even moving it up and down. He literally walked out with it just hanging and then handed the ball off with his, right hand, so it's dominant hand. But I think he's done. I think he suffered an injury similar to what happened to Brock Purdy against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I don't think he's going to play. They said, obviously, they don't want to give anything away. They said they're doing everything they can to prepare him, but I think he's done.
I think Tennessee has the toughest route to the national championship. And
Oregon.
Well, Oregon's ahead of us, so how can it be tougher? Because they have to play the winner of us. We have an extra game.
Yeah. So again, Oregon has to take on Tennessee, or winner of that game, right?
And if they win that game, if we beat Oregon, we play who they're going to play too. So it's the same route.
True, but I'm just saying.
More game.
True, but I'm saying of all the teams who have buys, I think Oregon has the toughest schedule. So again, if they get Tennessee, Ohio State, then they're likely going to face Texas. Then they might face Georgia for the third time.
Right, but I'm sorry. Have a harder route than Tennessee because Tennessee has the same route and has to play an extra game.
True. Sorry, I was thinking of the teams with a bye. But yeah,
you're good. Right. So I think Tennessee has the hardest route. Tennessee and Ohio State have the hardest route, and Tennessee has a freshman quarterback. It'll be very, very difficult to get through that with a freshman quarterback. But I like your prediction. All my money will be on Ohio State. Financially, I will bet so much money on Ohio State that if Tennessee wins, I will be able to go to every game that Tennessee plays in for the rest of this college football playoff.
All right. Next up, Texas versus Clemson at Texas.
Texas versus Clemson at Texas. Yeah, I think Texas wins that game. Man, I don't. I know you're saying that we might get Texas, Georgia, but I think Texas wins that game. Yeah.
Upset alert. I'm going Clemson.
Really?
I'm going Clemson. Listen,
I just think Texas defense and Klubnik has been known to be hot.
I'm going to give Cade his props. Cade looked overmatched against Georgia, but Georgia's defense does that to a lot of people. Texas has a really good defense. I don't trust Quinn Ewers at all, and I don't know what the heck they're going to do. I don't know. I mean, to me, it would be completely unfair to throw Arch Manning into as a starter now when you should have done that once Quinn got
It
hurt,
might
you
be a
should have
Tua.
rolled
It
it
might
out
be a
with.
Tua attack the Tagovailoa situation. It might have to
I
come at
mean,
halftime, or was it? Yeah, halftime.
true, but I just think that is so unfair to Arch Manning. And if you do that to him and he doesn't play well and they lose that game, he's got to go into the offseason with that hanging over him. He's going to be the starter next year. Whether Quinn goes to the league or transfers, he's done there. Whenever Texas either wins the title or loses, that's his last game as a Longhorn. He's leaving. Or Sark is going to kick him out the door because you got to start Arch with going into his third year. I'm taking Clemson. I think they got the defense to hang to stifle Texas. And I think, like I said, Quinn, man, he gets a little bit of deer in the headlights, lightish,
Coaching
especially
edge.
when it starts getting.
Coaching edge to Clemson too. I think.
I can rock with that.
Just tournament, college football playoff coaching edge. I give it to Clemson.
So yeah, I'm gonna take the upset. All right, Notre Dame versus Indiana. Who you got?
Oh man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, but I'm taking Indiana. I for
Me
some
too.
reason,
Me
for
too.
some reason, only reason I'm taking Indiana is just because there's a lot of pressure on Indiana. Like to say, like, yo, we deserve to be here. And I don't trust Riley Leonard enough to say he's the guy that is gonna say, no, you don't. Now, Jeremiah Love, trust him a lot. Coach Freeman, I trust him too, but I just don't. I don't know, and I have to see Riley Leonard perform at a high level. Other than that, I think for some reason, and if this is an upset or not, what is it, a 10-7? Is that what it is? What is it?
I mean, it's going to be considered an upset because it's Notre Dame.
Yeah, and I'm taking Indiana.
I'm going to
edge. No, you don't get to pick. You don't get to pick because
okay. Yeah.
All right. You're going to edge what? Go ahead, edge them.
Throw that thought away. The final matchup of the first round: Penn State versus SMU. Who you got?
I got SMU. Beating Penn State. Yep, I sure do. I don't think Penn State's very good, and I think they used their one draw four wild against Oregon and still lost. And I think SMU is going to come in there and beat Penn State.
Nah, I got Penn State, man. Playing at home, this is probably going to be a night game.
Penn State at home does not scare me at all, bro. I watched them at home against Ohio State go up 10-0, pick six, everything, all the white shirts jumping up and down, and then literally scored 3 points the next 48 minutes of football. They do not scare me at home a bit. And it's a noon game, right?
They haven't determined it yet. So they haven't said
it's a
when.
Noon game, bro.
Oh, really? Okay. My fault. So I think that I got Penn State winning the game. That defense is going to be too much for SMU. SMU made a valiant effort. And to me, that effort is what got them into the playoffs, is that the fact they came back against Clemson. But I just don't think – I think they're too small on the front lines, and I think that's going to make the difference in that matchup. All right, real quick. Let us know what y'all think. Who y'all got in these matchups? I know you got to get out of here. So real quick, Family Manometer. This is a must-watch game. What family game? San Francisco at home against the Rams. Playoff implications. When we were on the Field Generals with Drew and JC, I said that the Rams are going to win the division. If they win this game, you might see me get online and start to act like I never got off the bus and start to fire that back up and say, hey, guys, I think I'm right about this. But yes, must-watch game because you don't know what's going to happen. Both defenses can be had. And Matthew Stafford's playing at a really high level. So shout out to him. All right, sorry.
But how I missed a 23-leg parlay. I hit 22 of the 23 legs. And all I need was 200 yards passing from Matt Stafford. And he played against, who was it, the Cardinals 2 weeks ago? And it was like 6-3, like at halftime, and he had 23 yards passing. I was about to make life-changing money. Okay, not life-changing, but like
a nice chunk of bread.
Yeah,
like a nice one-rounder. A nice one-rounder.
Bro, I think I bet $50 a pair. It was like 3,100 or something. I don't remember what it was. It was like something crazy. And I hit 22, and Matt Stafford decided to throw for 183 yards. No, it was against the Saints. That's exactly what it was against. Because Saints would have scored, they would have tied the game. And then I was like, okay, he'll throw for 17. Boom, and they didn't. Oh, anyways. All right.
You got the exact same story as some guy who allegedly sold his car for $3,000 and then bet it all on a parlay. And he needed Cooper Rush to throw for 200 yards against the Bengals, and he got to like 183. Boomer, yes, we are streaming to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and
but not Christian Mingle. What you're on all the time, Boomer. So sorry you can't see it through your Christian Mingle app. Or I think you're still on Reverb Nation, Boomer. I don't know if you can still see it. Nah, I'm messing with you. What else? What up, Boomer? Good to see you, bro.
Yo, so thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of It's a Black and White Thing. Speaking of streaming, you can check out every episode of It's a Black and White Thing by going to the podcast app of your choice, wherever you find the good podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube by searching at Brains and Bars. You can do the same thing for the podcast as well as the audio versus the visual, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Brains and Bars. Until next time, it's been a black
and white
thing. We will holler at y'all. We got the Chiefs beating the Browns. Sorry we didn't get a chance to talk about that. Good
big
luck
loss by the Bills to the Rams. Chiefs are up a game technically now, right?
Yes.
So
at Brains
Steelers,
and Bars
Texans,
is the
Broncos
name,
is tough. Steelers, Texans, Broncos for the Chiefs. Patriots, Jets, Patriots for the Bills. So the Chiefs really gotta
win 2 or 3. Gotta win 2 or 3. You gotta make sure you preferably take care of business this week and next week against the Steelers. And I think you got to win. No, they got 4 games left. So it's Steelers, Texans, Broncos, and then Browns this weekend. So take care of the next 3, and you're good to go. So we'll holler at y'all next week, man. Y'all be easy. And if we don't see you again for some reason, Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Yep.
All right, holler at y'all.
Exactly.